Welcome to the Millennial Body Image Project. We're two licensed dietitian nutritionists bringing you conversations that cut through the food noise, debunk wellness trends, and remind you that it's not you, it's the systems stacked against you.
Together, we'll explore the struggles so many of us carry, challenge the fear-mongering that fuels them, and offer evidence-based, compassionate tools to support your body on its own terms.
Because your lived experience matters, and your body is not the problem.
Okay, time for another body image support episode. Love it.
Yes. When you proposed this idea to me, when I heard the voice memo come through, the voice note, I literally thought to myself, yes, we should absolutely talk about this, blah, blah,
Christina was
blah, blah.
like, can we record this right now? And I was like, I can't.
But you know what? Serendipity. It was meant to be not recorded in that moment because I ended up having a client session where this exact thing came up again, which every time that happens, I'm like, okay, well, if our clients are feeling this way, then that means our listeners must be feeling that way. And so here we are, guys, giving you guys the answer to your dreams. And this is about why is it so difficult to manage the entire complexity of our body image and how health promoting behaviors get wrapped up in it, and how if you don't feel like you can do health promoting behaviors consistently, or 1 week it's off and 1 week it's on, or the way that it is, or there feels like there's this lack of structure, how it can be this major rupture to your body image. And that's what we want to talk about with you guys today.
Yeah, so for context, I'll talk about the client session that inspired this, and then Christina can talk about hers also. So I was talking to one of my clients, and she's been talking about consistently in our last couple of sessions how work has been bonkers and she feels super burnt out. She's had a lot of health stuff going on over the last 2 years, I would say. And we've really been working on body neutrality for a long time. Don't we work on that with every client for a long time, right? But
Yeah.
it never ends. It's never going to end, right? We're always going to have body image disruptions. Even Christina and I have them. We talk about this all the time. Everyone has body image disruptions, whether you know it or not. So they were talking about how I feel like currently I just feel like a blob. Their words, not mine. And talking about how they feel like they can't do anything about how they feel about their body right now, which is not feeling great, except to accept where they're at. And I was talking to them about how this one feels very defeatist and doesn't feel great. And that's not what we're going for with body neutrality, because what that feels like to me is you feel like you have no agency over your body and no agency over your body image, which feels very out of control. And there is a difference between being in control of your body and your body size, which we have all attempted to do in the past with extreme exercise and restrictive behaviors and dieting and blah, 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 blah. You know, the whole 9 yards. There's a difference between that and feeling like you have an aspect of agency over your body image. Those are two very different things, but we tend to tie them together. And so with that statement that they were saying, as I was explaining to them, this statement sounds like you're tying the ability to do health promoting behaviors or behavior modification, whatever you call that. And the aim of those is most likely changing your body, right? So you're tying the ability to do health promoting behaviors to how you feel about your body. And so if in this season of your life or this year of your life or whatever you have going on, if you feel like you don't have the capacity to do certain behaviors right now, one, you feel like a failure because you don't have the capacity to do those behaviors or you don't have the resources or whatever, and you feel like a failure about your body, which then feels like you have no agency over your body, and it makes you feel even more disconnected from your body. So then you feel like the solution to that is, well, I just have to be okay with this. Well, I just kind of have to accept it as it is. And so you feel like, okay, well, I have to accept feeling like a total scumbag in my body every single day, which of course you then show up to session like, I hate this. I don't feel like doing anything. Why do I feel like such a blob? Why do I hate my body image? Why do I continue to feel like this? If that is the train of events that you're going through, of course you feel that way.
Of course. Something that I'm thinking about, the number one form, like the most um, tested and clinically supported form of therapy for body image, body dysmorphia, eating disorder treatment is acceptance-based therapies. It's like a huge piece of it, and that's like a common used form of therapy, especially in eating disorder treatment and body image dysmorphia and body image things all across the board is acceptance-based therapy, which is wonderful. But I can understand why someone hearing acceptance-based therapy sounds like giving up in their mind, or because I've heard from people say, well, I don't want to accept my body where it is right now. I don't want to accept this. I feel uncomfortable in it. I don't like the way I look. It doesn't fit what society is telling me I'm supposed to do. I don't like the way that I feel right now. I don't like the way my blood workers are looking like. And what you're telling me and what people are telling me is I just have to accept this. Yeah, when you put it like that, sounds awful and it sounds defeatist, right? It sounds like, okay, fine. I'm just going to feel terrible about my body and I just have to be cool with it, I guess. Like that, you could easily be interpreted that way. But that is a major misconception about what acceptance-based therapy really is. It's not about saying like, okay, I feel like I'm giving up and I'm not doing these things anymore. And like, I just have to accept where my body is because I can't access health promoting behaviors. That's not what this is about. This is about letting go of the conditions in which we're withholding accepting our body, right? It's about letting go of saying, I'm not going to deprive and shame and ridicule my body into acceptance, because that's not acceptance. That is shaming. That is ridiculing. That is abusing your body in a in a lot of ways. And what we're talking about here is actually saying to yourself, I am going to accept my body, and that doesn't mean that I'm not going to support it. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to prioritize my health. That doesn't mean that I'm giving up the value of health. But it's really speaks to, like, when I hear this and when I was talking like to my client about it, and when you were relaying how your client was feeling, so much of what I'm hearing in this is about how deeply ingrained health promoting behaviors are into how we are supposed to feel and look about our bodies, right? Like how deeply it's almost as if it owns loving yourself, and that you're not allowed to love and accept your body unless you are actively working on it. And that is fucked up. Like, full stop. If you think about it, like, that is the most messed up thing. It's basically saying to your body, you don't deserve my love and affection and support unless I am able to meet all of these conditions for you and you meet these conditions for me. That's not how it works. Your body was enough the day it was born, and it has stayed enough the day until the day you go. Like, it is not it is not that type of transactional relationship. And when we talk about acceptance-based therapies, we're talking about saying, I am going to say that I am enough and that I can love and accept myself and my body for where it is without trying to force it and abuse it and ridicule it and all those things, and letting go of we've talked about this before, the attached outcome that we have to those behaviors. That's my TED Talk for right now.
Yeah, because
But I
we
feel like
also
that's
feel
so
like,
important.
yes. And to add on to what you just said, it also feels like, okay, well, if I do these behaviors often enough and good enough, then there's no way it's not going to change my body, you know?
And so too, I think another layer, sorry, Dana, I just interrupted you, but I think another layer of it too is, yes, maybe it will change my body, make it smaller, but it certainly won't make it bigger. And I think that's the thing. It's like, I can accept it right here. This maybe I can deal with, but God forbid it get any bigger. Holy shit, that is scary
Mhm.
as fuck.
Mhm.
Right. And so to us, we hold on to these health promoting behaviors as if we're like going on what's those rafts, like a whitewater rafting. And we're holding on to them, clinging on to them for dear life because we're thinking to ourselves, if I can maintain these things, that it will stay where it is. And I might be able to accept this, but I cannot accept it all changing. I cannot accept it getting bigger. And I think that's really the hardest thing is that people get super scared about their body getting bigger.
I think it's also when we are so used to tying health promoting behaviors to body changes, if you're starting to disconnect that, or if you've been noticing that those health promoting behaviors aren't giving you the outcome that you want, AKA body changes to a either maintenance or smaller size, you may lose the desire to do those health promoting behaviors, right? Like that's a real
Totally.
thing that happens.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is help you disconnect the health promoting behaviors from the guarantee of body changes and see the merit in doing the health promoting behaviors on their own in a non perfectionistic way, not because it's going to guarantee a body change, but because most of the time, engaging in health promoting behaviors in whatever way works for you and your lifestyle is going to help you feel physically better. Like
Mm-hmm.
eating fruits and vegetables objectively is good for your body. Moving your body in some way objectively is good for your body, regardless of whether it or not it results in any kind of body change. And I think the difficulty about this is in the past and currently you may still be hearing this, it feels like and we are taught that our body size dictates our how we feel about our bodies, our happiness, winning, as this
Mm-hmm.
client said, and also not feeling like a failure. And what we're trying to convey is that that doesn't have to be true and it doesn't have to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can work on your body image, your happiness, feeling good from the inside out, and not feeling like a failure without ever changing the size and shape of your body. And remember that just changing your body to a smaller size would actually not guarantee you any of those things. In fact, every single session that I ever have with a client in which they bring up, oh, I wish I could just get back to this size, they have this moment of like, well, actually, when I was that size, I thought I was too big to begin with. And so it's like, okay, well, then just let's remember and not in like a I told you so kind of way, but like just a very gentle reminder that like you weren't happy with your body when it was that size. So what's the guarantee now that if I get this gold star of, oh, I make it back to X pant size or X weight or whatever, that you're going to be happy? There's no guarantee there. And so if that makes you feel like, well, then what's even the point of doing health promoting behaviors? That's the reframe that needs to happen is we need to try to disconnect the want to do health promoting behaviors from body changes because those were never going to guarantee body changes in the first place. But there's so many different positive things that you can get from regularly engaging in many different types of health promoting behaviors. And it doesn't need to be a wellness, productivity, perfectionistic checklist, as we like to say.
I know. I was hearing that when you were mentioning, like, oh, how they say they feel like a failure or they're not winning. It's like, ooh, what game are we winning and losing? I literally said that to my client yesterday. I go, you said losing. What are we winning and what are we losing? Can you explain what game we're playing? Because the game we're playing is called life. And despite what we think
And not the board game.
and not the board game. It is not that controllable. And even that board game can drive you freaking nuts because all of a sudden, whatever. But it's not like you have that much control over certain things. And I think that is something that happens. And it makes sense that you would have body image disruptions and ruptures happen during periods of time when you don't have the capacity for some of your health promoting behaviors that you really value. When they're body based ones, right? It is hard to feel connected to your body when you don't do activities that help you feel connected to your body. full stop. Like, and it's really hard to do that. So when you're in a period of time where you don't have access or you don't have the capacity to do movement, whether that's depression, whether that's grief, whether that's my work schedule's bonkers or I have an injury or whatever it is, you are going to naturally feel more disconnected from your body because you're not connecting with your body. So that makes a lot of sense. But it's also really hard because then we think that the reason why we feel better in our body when we're doing these things is because it has been tied together to believe that this is actually controlling our body versus it's actually not. It's helping us feel connected to our body. And that's like a huge reframe that needs to happen. I think another part of it too is that when we have periods of time where we have such all or nothing thinking about this stuff. This is what I was saying to a client of mine that I was saying yesterday that literally yesterday, I said to them, I was like, you know what's interesting is that I'm feeling like there's some all or nothing thinking coming up here because we have this period of time right now, this week or two, where work is really busy and we haven't been able to access the things we like. They really love running, they really love doing this stuff. And they're like, I can't even run. I'm just feeling disconnected from I am just feeling kind of crappy. And I said, I go, you know what's interesting is that there seems to be this all or nothing kind of thing. And I want people to think about this a little bit. When you have moments and times and periods of time where you're not able to access your health promoting behaviors, we tend to think, this is my life forever now. I will no longer ever go back to the gym. I will never eat a salad again. I will never make dinner again. It's like very much all or nothing thinking. And then it triggers the entire, cascade of feelings that we have about it. And I want to remind people that just because you are not going to the gym doesn't mean you're no longer a movement person. You can get right back to it the way that you started a couple weeks later when things slow down at work. And it doesn't have to be a full quote unquote reset. I think that's like an interesting concept that has very much to do with dieting. Is that we think that we have to be on a rigid plan in order to be doing these things. And this is part of the acceptance and this is part of the reciprocal relationship that you're building, is that you have to allow it to ebb and flow. Every day does not look the same. Every week does not look the same. Every season of your life does not look the same. And so there are going to be periods of time where you're like, I can go to the gym 3 days a week and I feel fantastic and I'm feeling really connected to my body and I'm feeling wonderful. And then something's going to happen. I'm a great example of this. I got the flu and I haven't been back since, guys. All right. And I just have not been able to get back over there. But that is changing. I keep reminding myself, Christina, you can go back. And I'm like, I need to just go back. And but it's interesting how we fall into this like very much all or nothing, like I'm either going or I'm never going again. And it's just silly.
And it happens to everybody. And another point I want to bring up too is there can be external forces that make you more disconnected from your body and
Totally.
unable to engage with health promoting behaviors the way that you normally do.
Mhm.
And that can feel very dysregulating and that can really throw off your body image. So personal example, I don't think I've talked about this yet, Christina, but I have had extensive medical issues.
Yeah, no, you
this
have
year.
not talked about this.
I think that will have to be another bonus episode. I'll share with you all. But I have had extensive medical issues this year with almost no resolution. So that's been pretty fun. And so you guys know I'm like a regular exerciser person. I love doing that. It makes me feel very connected with my body. I love doing weightlifting, different, like playing volleyball, like all this different stuff. Like Christina was saying before, it is one of the ways that makes me feel more in tune with my body and helps me get out of my head and into my body. And I really like that. Am I killing myself all the time? Absolutely not. We don't engage with that shit anymore. We're not doing CrossFit. We're not doing any of these crazy half marathons. We're not doing any of that stuff, right? Whatever. But so when all of this crazy, unexpected, out of the blue medical stuff started happening for me this year, I basically was unable to do and continue to be unable to do a lot of the things that I like to do in terms of movement. I haven't been able to play volleyball. I had to quit the league I was in. I haven't been able to play with my friends. I basically haven't gone to the gym unless I go to do like physical therapy stuff, right? And that is extremely dysregulating, right? But instead of being like, oh, everything is going to be fixed when I'm able to go to the gym and start doing weightlifting and everything again, right? No, it's like, okay, I still want to be able to engage in things that help me have that mind body connection. So, can I do stretching? I've done a lot more walking, right? We have a little like stationary bike at home, and I've been doing that more often because it's safer for what is going on in my body right now, right? And so, it's also like you want to make sure that you're not getting injured with the things that you do, because the times that I would try to go back to the gym, things didn't go well, even though I wasn't trying to push it. And then I'd be like, oh, now I'm back in physical therapy. So there's always going to be seasons of difficulty where even the tools that you think you have and have been using for a long time are just not great for your body for whatever reason in that season of your life, which, believe me, I know is incredibly frustrating, not just for your body, sometimes for your wallet also, right? It is
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean that you just have to pause everything completely. It's, Christina was saying before, it's an ebb and flow. How can we flow into something else that is still really supportive of your body without feeling like you just have to stop completely?
I think it's
Man.
such a good point about about how it ebb and flows. And I think that's really hard because we're never, despite what diet culture has told us, like there's like two options in diet culture. Either you're always going to magically have all of the perfect conditions, or you're going to wedge perfect conditions into your life, or you're going to feel shitty about it. Right. And it's like what we're trying to take away a little bit is that I'm going to feel shitty about it. Right. You can't wedge yourself and these behaviors into making perfect conditions for them to happen. Sometimes, yes, we have to be intentional. I'm a great example of that. I am going back to the gym, guys. You've heard it here first. I'm going back. I love the way I feel when I go, but it's been really difficult for me to prioritize going because of work schedule and kids, school, and blah, blah, blah. And, but it's been really difficult for me. And to me, it's about sometimes we have to set the boundary in the place that's keeping us, and like we have to have a very real conversation with ourselves. Like this is something that I said to my client yesterday. I was like, yes, this capacity right now for work is bonkers, but what I'm also hearing from you is that you're giving everything to work and depriving yourself the best things that feel good for you. That's also not sustainable. That's also not good for you and not long term for your body and your health and your overall just well being and vitality. Whether or not that does anything about your body image or not, that's not the point. The point is that's not sustainable either. So we also need to find, why am I feeling disconnected from my body? Why do I feel like the things that I'm doing in these health promoting behaviors feel very far away from me? Are there things outside of my control? Yes. I like, if you have depression or you're going through a lot of grief, yes, you're going to have a hard time with those things. And that makes complete sense. If it's because your boss is an asshole, let's practice setting boundaries around that and protecting our space and being intentional with that, right? And that's like one of the things that I said to my client. I said, you seem to feel like there's a hard end to what's happening with work. That's great. What I'd like for you to do is prioritize doing something for you, whether it's a 10-minute run. Don't worry about how long you're going, because to them, running was something that they really love. They're the long-term runner and they're like, I really miss running right now. And it always makes me feel connected. Um, and I think it's important to, there are times when you have to say, this is my capacity and this is happening and I can't control some of these things. Like we can't always control what's going on at work and in our lives, obviously. And then other times we can say, okay, here's what I am going to be intentional about. These are the things that make me feel supported in my body. How can I take care of my body this week? How can I help my body? What can I do to feel more connected? What can I do to slow down a little bit if this feels out of control for me? And that's usually the outsiding things. Your body's not the thing that needs to be controlled. It's the outside factors that need to be bounded or have boundaries around, right? Like We need bounds there, right?
I love boundered. We could make that a new word.
If Shakespeare can name a bunch of words, why can't I make one up? And here we go. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like you have to like there's certain aspects of things. Like, can I create boundaries here? Is that what's needed for certain types of stuff? Because I'm sorry, there's under no circumstances should a job ever make you miss lunch. Shouldn't.
Also not legal, so there's that.
It's also not legal. Well, under this administration, they might try to take that away, but who knows?
That's true.
Sorry. But I will say, I think those are the things that we need to kind of consider and play around with a little bit and answer for yourself, right? How much of this stuff is happening to me that I can't control, right? Like I can't control getting sick. I can't control having a health
crisis
going on. I can't control certain types of stuff. But you know what? I'll be honest about myself. I can set better boundaries around my work schedule to make sure that I can go to the gym while the kids are at school. I certainly can. And it's been really hard for me to do because I'm a yes person. But I'm practicing, right? Are you a yes person? The answer is probably yes, guys. Okay. And so that is something that I think is important. And so that's what I said to my client. There are some areas here where, yes, we need to understand that we feel disconnected from our body in these things, and it's hard. Yes, we are also tying how we feel about our body to certain types of conditions, which is unfair to do to ourselves and to our body, because that is just setting ourselves up for feeling bad about ourselves. If you do that in any area, like we're just constantly going to feel bad about ourselves. Ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
Mm-mm. No, we don't have time for that.
No. And let us know if there's anything else that you guys want us to talk about. We have more body image support coming up. And just let us know if there's anything else you want us to talk about. What's been top of mind? And
Yes.
then we'll see you in 2 weeks, I think.
Yep. See you soon. Bye.